In this video, we're going to dive into a super detailed tutorial on one of the most challenging styles, the realistic eye tattoo. Make sure to watch all the way to the end because every single second is packed with key tips and valuable techniques. Let's go. First, machine setup. I'm using a rotary with a 3.6mm to 4.2mm stroke. Why? Because 3.6mm is perfect for soft shading and 4.2mm adds power for sharp details. This setup lets you instantly switch between gradients and sharp lines, ideal for a realistic eye tattoo. All right, here is the design I've prepared. You can see the main work reference on your screen now. For practice, please take a screenshot of this design right now. This is your best tool to accurately practice all the techniques we teach in this tutorial on fake skin. All right, let's move to the most crucial part, the gray washes. I used 4 different cups. Follow these ratios exactly for accurate tones. Cup 1, lightest, 1 drop of black ink, the rest is distilled water or shading solution. Cup 2, medium light, 3 drops of black ink. Cup 3, dark, 5 drops of black ink. Cup 4, deepest or black, this cup is full ink, or pure black. With these 4 tones, you have all the necessary contrast to create a truly 3D realistic eye. Alright guys, we've reached the start of the game. This part is the foundation of your realism tattoo. At this stage, patience is your most crucial tool, because what you do here influences every next step. If your base isn't solid, the shading, the depth, and that final 3D look, all of it becomes hard to control and almost impossible to manage. So yes, patience is golden here. This first step is strictly about precisely mapping the eye's main structure. Your focus must be 100% on precision, not speed. We don't want to rush this. Every line you create now is the guidance map for your entire work, so treat it with respect and great care. Think of this as an extremely delicate pencil sketch, not the final line work. We are building the roadmap. Get your 3RL liner needle ready and keep your hand pressure as light as possible. Crucial point, we absolutely must not lay down deep or heavy lines here. The lines you are drawing are just guides. The eyelid edges, the corners, the tear duct shape, and most importantly, the circle of the iris and the pupil. Pay attention to every curve, every arc you see in your reference photo, because these small details are what ultimately determine how realistic and alive your eye will look. Now, let's talk about hand angle and movement mechanics. Hold your machine mostly straight, but give it a very slight tilt, about 10 to 15 degrees. This small tilt helps your movement stay smoother and more natural, keeping the needle pressure consistent. Completely relax your wrist. Don't let your wrist force the movement. Drive the motion from your arm or elbow instead. This gives you smoother, cleaner lines with way better control. A professional technique I always recommend is layered lining. Instead of trying to make each line perfect in one single pass, go over it 2 or 3 times very lightly. This builds accuracy gradually. This method is safer and helps you develop a better feel for the skin. You'll start noticing how the ink reacts to light versus deep touch. That awareness is key to becoming an advanced artist. Now, let's recognize the common fatal mistakes at this stage. Pressing too hard, this leaves deep, ugly marks that are nearly impossible to shade over and often bloom. Moving too fast, your lines will become shaky, uneven, and out of control. Ignoring the natural curves, this makes your eye look flat, two-dimensional, and unnatural. Keeping your wrist stiff, this kills the flow and makes your lines mechanical and dry. Trying to draw long lines in one motion, it's much better to use short, highly controlled strokes. Remember, these guidelines will disappear under your final shading, so don't stress about their perfection. Focus on control, pressure, and rhythm. If your wrist feels tight, pause, breathe, adjust your machine grip, and then continue. Another pro tip for ultimate control: every few minutes, wipe, clean, and step back 1 pace. Look at your work from a distance. This helps you check the balance and proportions. When you work too close, you miss these small crucial details. Your movements should be short, calm, and consistently rhythmic. Every line you draw is building the main blueprint of the eye. Quick question for you guys. When you're laying down these guidelines on fake skin or a client's skin, do you struggle more with applying too much pressure or with controlling the speed and flow? Let me know in the comments. I'm really curious to hear what other artists experience in this foundation stage. So yeah, take it slow. Focus on pressure, rhythm, and the proper machine angle. Draw your lines like a gentle sketch. Before we move on to next step, let me mention an important point. Please like this video right now and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next specialized tattoo tutorials. Your support helps this kind of technical content reach more aspiring artists. We're moving on to part 2, where we start the depth and texture with the 5RS and 3RL needles. All right, guys. Now we are moving into the critical and sensitive heart of the eye, the pupil and the iris. This is where you need absolute focus because the real magic of 3D realism and depth begins right here, and we want to achieve the highest quality possible. To begin filling the pupil, I'm using the 3RL liner, our detail needle, and I set the machine speed around 6.5 to 7 volts. This voltage provides enough power for dense, solid black ink implantation. The pupil must be solid black and completely uniform. My hand movement here is circular, steady, and relatively slow. Using this dense circular motion ensures the ink is implanted fully, leaving no empty or unwanted spots. Take your time with this. A clean, smooth pupil is the foundation for the eye's entire realism, and any defect here will ruin the final shading. Once the pupil is fully dense, I switch to the iris. I change my needle to the 5RS, round shader, which is superb for building texture. I use dark gray wash. I lower the voltage slightly, around 6 volts. Why 6 volts? Because with the 5RS, we want more control over the needle's penetration and ink spread. We don't want to pack the color too deep. The vital texturing technique. Starting right from the edge of the pupil, I begin creating fine radial lines. I mean those natural iris fibers. For this, I use the flicking technique. That means I pull the needle out quickly from the center towards the outside and immediately lift the machine off the skin. This movement must be short and decisive. Do not draw these lines perfectly. Don't let them look robotic or straight. You want them to feel organic and slightly uneven, because real human eyes are full of these imperfections, and in realism, inconsistency means beauty. After that, I pick up the medium gray wash, and using the same 5RS, I start building texture and more depth. Keep your hand pressure much lighter now, and using short tapping and fully controlled movements, I slowly build the contrast. Always begin with the darker zones, the shadowed areas in your reference, then move toward the lighter areas. You are essentially sculpting the eye with layers of tone and volume to make the eyeball appear round and prominent. Advanced tip for hyperrealism. Study your reference. Zoom in on the photos. No two irises are identical. Some have dark specks that you can hit with the 3RL and pure black. Others have bright streaks that you must preserve using the negative space technique. It's those natural inconsistencies that bring the tattoo to life and elevate it beyond a flat drawing. Let's check the common critical mistakes in this stage. High pressure and low speed. The area quickly becomes muddy and you lose those clean iris fibers. Forgetting the 5RS. The 5RS has a softer contact surface and works much better than the 3RL for iris texturing because it disperses the color more softly. Straight, uniform movements make the iris look flat and depthless. Always use radial and flicking motions to convey light projecting from the center. Excessive wiping, too much wiping irritates the skin unnecessarily. Before we move on to step 3, let me mention an important point. Please like this video right now and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next specialized tattoo tutorials. Your support helps this kind of technical content reach more aspiring artists. Now a key question for you. When shading the iris, do you prefer to build texture with a liner, 3RL, or a shader, like the 5RS? Share your answer and reason in the comments. I'd love to know your approach. Every stroke you make now sets the foundation for the next step, eyelid shading and smooth light transitions. So, work with rhythm and full control. All right, guys, we've reached the most critical part of the final stage, the tonal refinement. These techniques are what set your work apart in the final stretch. Since we didn't use pure black for any of the final details, every movement we make is vital for preserving that ultimate softness. First, inner contour and soft shadows. For the delicate shadows and inner eye lines, I'm using medium gray wash and a liner RL needle. This tone keeps the lines soft, preventing harsh contrast in the moist areas of the eye. Second, eyeliner base and texture. To create diffused texture and the lash root base, grab your 7RS or round shader needle. Using medium gray wash and soft tapping motions, we build a gentle density along the lash line. Key point, we are building density, not a thick line, so hand pressure must be light. Third, realistic lashes without pure black. This is our biggest technique. For the individual hair strokes, use the 3RL liner. Start at the lash root with the dark gray wash and quickly switch to the medium gray wash to blend toward the tip. Use fast, decisive, and flicking motions. This combination of tones makes the lash pop out without harsh, artificial edges. Lashes must be random, varying in length and crossing each other. Fourth, highlights and final contrast. Our highlights only work with negative space. Using your darkest remaining gray wash and the 3RL, frame the areas you want to remain bright. This surrounding darkness creates the illusion of sharp, commanding light. Common gray wash mistakes. If you use dark gray wash on the bottom lashes, the eye will look sunken and tired. Always keep the tone softer on the lower lid. Technical question for you. What do you think is the most important reason for using the 7RS on the lash line? Tone softness or speed of densification? Let me know in the comments.
All right, guys, now we're moving into the third stage, the eyelid shading and the soft skin transition. This stage, in fact, adds the final magic to your tattoo. Eyelids are the most sensitive and mobile parts of the face, so here we must treat the skin with the utmost softness and respect. For this crucial section, I switch to our larger, softer needle, the 7RM round curved magnum, and I set the machine speed to around 6 volts. This slightly lower voltage, combined with the curved magnum, allows us to implant the color gently in a diffused manner and without causing trauma. The first step is to define the eyelid crease, that natural shadow line right above the eyeball. I use medium gray wash and very gentle, fast whip motions to softly establish this line. The key here is zero pressure. The needle should only be stroking the surface of the skin. We are not trying to create a dark, heavy shadow. The goal is to build a soft, velvety, and powdery gradient that gives the eyelid shape and depth. Once the main crease is mapped, I start blending the shadow upward and outward using a lighter gray wash.
the magnum movement should become slightly wider and smoother. Think of it as brushing or sweeping the ink, not pushing it. Let the 7RM glide over the skin and disperse the ink in short, soft passes. Your goal is to create a seamless, gradual fade that naturally transitions the eyelid shadow into the upper skin area. This step requires extensive layering and diluted tones. Next is the lower eyelid. I lower the voltage slightly again, around 5.5 to 5.8 volts, and continue with the same 7RM magnum. Here, we need to create an extremely soft and light shadow just beneath the lash line. This shadow gives the lower contour of the eye dimension and separates it from the main line. The golden and vital tip for balance: never make the upper eyelid shadow as dark as the lower one. The upper eyelid naturally carries a deeper shadow due to the bone structure and shading it casts. Keeping the lower part lighter ensures your eye looks completely natural, balanced, and prominent. As I blend both the upper and lower areas, I constantly switch between darker and lighter gray wash to build contrast slowly and accurately. Wipe frequently and relayer. This patience, layering, and steady rhythm are key to achieving that silky gradient. We are sculpting volume with shadows and showcasing the spherical form of the eyeball. Let's check the common and fatal mistakes in this stage. High pressure and quick darkening. This makes the area lose its softness, resulting in patchy and rough shading. Using straight movements. The eyelid skin is curved. If you use straight motions, you flatten the form. Always curve with the eyelid's natural shape and use arc movements. High voltage. If your voltage is too high, the magnum will implant the color too quickly and without control, leading to uneven shading. An extra pro move for finishing. After completing the primary shading, I go back with the most diluted gray wash and very soft circular motions for a final pass over the whole area. This eliminates any unevenness and creates that velvety, photorealistic transition. If you haven't liked it yet, hit the like button now and tap hype down below to show your support. Technical question for you. When shading this sensitive area, the eyelid, do you prefer to use the curved 7RM or smaller needles like the 5RS? What is your technical reason? Is it for softness or for tighter control? Be sure to tell me in the comments. And move to finally.
Alright guys, we've reached the final moment. The stage that truly completes and brings your work to life. Reflections and final details. This is where your realism must shout out loud. A keynote. Many artists choose to use white ink or diluted white for their final highlights. This is a common and powerful tool. However, I did not use white ink in this specific design and video. Our goal here is to demonstrate the power of realism solely through the mastery of gray washes and contrast. Our objective in this stage is to create a powerful illusion of light and depth through our gray wash skills. Before any action, take a step back. Look at your work from a distance. Is your contrast sufficient? High contrast is your only true highlight. Now, let's address the catch lights and reflections. We achieve this shine using the technique of negative space preservation. That means the brightest area of the iris and eyeball that we want to be the highlight is kept completely untouched. Then, we enhance the darkness surrounding this area using the 3RL and dark gray wash. With the 3RL, you'll point frame the untouched, purely bright areas with the darkest gray wash.
This action creates a sharp, luminous edge that sells the illusion of a strong light reflection. The main highlight should always be right on the pupil or iris and slightly curve to maintain the eye's spherical shape. After the reflections, we move to the eyelashes. Using the 3RL liner and pure black ink, we begin the lashes. For them to look realistic, use fast, decisive, and flicking movements. This motion ensures the tip of the lash tapers off and fades naturally, just like a real eyelash. Pro eyelash tips for realism. Randomization. Never draw eyelashes uniformly. Vary the length, angle, and density. Crossover. Some lashes should overlap or cross over other lines. This natural disorder is what brings the work to life. Next up is the tear duct and the inner eyelid corners. Here, we must use the most diluted gray wash and the 5RS needle. With soft, diffused tapping motions, we create a very gentle, warm shadow, so the eyelids are fully embedded in the skin. Please, if you haven't liked it yet, hit the like button now and tap hype down below to show your support. Tap HYPE down below to show your support. One final question for you. What do you find is the best tool for framing negative space highlights and creating those sharp edges of light? The 3RL liner or another tool? Tell me your preferred method in the comments.
Remember this, there are no shortcuts in realism. Your only key is consistent practice with your 3RL, 5RS, and 7RM needles. If you enjoyed this tutorial and want this specialized content to reach more artists, please like and tap hype and subscribe down below right now. The journey continues. Don't miss the next videos. Make sure to watch the lip realism tutorial for natural lines and hair realism for fine single needle strokes. So hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and get ready to move to the next level with me. See you soon.